Welcome to Back in Crime, a podcast presented by Texas Crime Travelers. I'm Stewart Fillmore, retired FBI agent.
And I'm Todd Hiles, retired Secret Service agent. In this podcast, we cover cases we worked and some we wish we had.
As lifelong street agents, we were where the rubber met the road.
While the big guys were doing press conferences, we were interviewing the criminals.
And because of that, we can take you inside these cases
and under the crime scene tape.
This is Back in Crime.
Today we're going to talk about one of the most intriguing types of crimes to investigate.
Oh man, that's a wide-ranging thing there, dude.
Well, I think it's one of the most intriguing types.
Okay, all right.
We're going to unravel two stories involving this type of crime.
Okay.
Do you want to take any guess on what this crime is?
I'll go with murder because, that's what I find intriguing. I don't know what that says about me, but
I would have thought you would have said bank robbery.
Bank robbery.
Bank robberies are your most intriguing. Especially like takeover.
I don't know if
robberies.
I call bank robbery intriguing.
It's kind of intriguing when they wear a mask and they take over a bank and get away.
It is, and we've talked before about the Cowboy Bob bandit, right. With the lady that dressed like a man and very convincingly
wearing a disguise,
yeah,
right?
Yeah, you could say that's intriguing for sure.
Well, today's crime is going to be counterfeit U.S. currency. Fake money, funny money, bogus bills, clip bills, monopoly money.
So we are in your wheelhouse. This is
exactly. And for our listeners, I actually sense a little jealousy in the room because you, as an FBI agent, you've never worked a counterfeit case.
Never have. Always wondered, honestly, because I guess at various times here and there, in the course of my career, I saw a counterfeit bill or whatever, and I couldn't tell the difference. So I remember thinking, man, that's got to be hard. How do these guys figure that out?
How are we experts?
Some of the cases probably are easier than others, but
right.
I guess the ones I saw were pretty good quality counterfeit.
Right, and we know U.S. currency is the lifeblood of our economy. It's what we use to buy goods and services. It's a symbol of wealth and value.
It's so important. Yeah,
and I would say everyone listening to this podcast today has money in their wallet or money in their purse, and that so everyone could really become a victim of this type of crime.
Sure.
This is sort of a never-ending fight by the U.S. Secret Service to protect the integrity of the American dollar.
Well, it's really kind of how the Secret Service got started. Right?
You're right. In 1865.
Yeah, that's what you guys have been into for a long, long time.
Right. And that was back when the Secret Service was part of the Department of Treasury.
Mm-hmm.
And I know years ago we moved over to the Department of Homeland Security. But that's why we were started back then.
And I'll tell you, I've mentioned this before, and it probably went over the heads of a lot of our listeners, but there's an old TV show from the 60s called The Wild Wild West, and it starred a guy named Robert Conrad, who's a really handsome guy, and he and his partner were Secret Service agents in the years after the Civil War, and they had all these really cool gadgets that, like little Derringer, small little pistol that came out of his sleeve of his coat. I remember thinking that is so freaking cool.
Well, now before we go any farther, let me just say, when I joined the Secret Service, of course, we were Department of Treasury. And at that time, we just had this tiny, small gold shield as our badge.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But when we moved over to Homeland Security, sometime after 2001, we were issued these awesome bigger badges that had a star and an eagle on it. So I'm kind of glad that we left Treasury and went to Department of Homeland Security just to get a cooler badge.
Yeah.
Now, back to the history of the Secret Service. Again, like we've said, when it was created, its mission was to combat counterfeit U.S. currency because following the Civil War, counterfeit money was rampant in the United States.
Yeah.
A lot of people estimate that almost 1/3 of all U.S. currency in circulation was fake. And this posed a major threat to the economy. And, of course, this undermined the public confidence, in the U.S. dollar and public confidence in the government at that time.
Yeah, it's really can be really destructive, I think is a good word, for just like you said, confidence, everything, because so much of our economy our day-to-day stuff is just dependent on that, you know, from big transactions just down to if I happen to buy, you know, a lawnmower from you and, you know, we just do that in cash, you know, all those, it affects all those things.
Yeah,
And
every
everywhere in
day.
between.
Yeah, every day. And again, it was the original mission of the Secret Service. You know, they went after counterfeiters, they arrested them, and you know, basically safeguard the nation's financial system. And just kind of as a side note, it wasn't until 1901, after the assassination of President McKinley, that the Secret Service took on the role of protecting the president.
I've learned something new. I did not know exactly when that happened. Okay,
1901.
that's going to go into the old hard drive, you know, in the brain there, and now I've got it. But I did not know that. That's interesting.
Well, to our listeners, a little side note here, spoiler alert, stick around because at the end, I'm going to have some trivia here for Stewart to answer. But buckle up now and get ready as we take you back in crime to explore some counterfeit money crimes.
All right.
So our first one up is the guy that they actually called the king of counterfeit. That's what the newspapers called him back in the 1900s. His name was Emanuel Ninger. And he was also known as Joseph Gilbert.
Okay. All right.
So Gilbert here, he arrives in the United States around 1876 from Germany, and he lives in Hoboken, New Jersey.
Okay.
And then he begins counterfeiting U.S. currency around 1878.
Did he have like some previous skills that maybe that helped him, or you know, what was his background coming to?
Excellent
Germany?
question, and we're going to get into that.
Okay. All right.
Here in a second. We're going to get into it. So really, in 1878, like I said, he starts his first counterfeit money.
Okay.
A year later, the Secret Service is aware of him, and they kind of open up a clue on Gilbert, but they don't have any clues to identify who it is, other than that they've seen his counterfeit money in circulation, and the Secret Service referred to him as Jim the Pen Man. So Gilbert starts making...
So in those days, it probably would have worked. You know, this counterfeit money starts circulating, and then obviously the Secret Service guys go out,
It'll eventually
talk to a
bank,
storekeeper,
right.
somebody like that, and hey, where did you get this? You know, well, I think it came from so and so, and you just track it down that way, right? So eventually, they kind of, I guess, had enough information that pointed them back to this guy.
To this guy,
yeah.
right. But we'll see. There's going to be a little more to it than that.
Okay.
But, so Gilbert...
Well, Todd, I'm a simple guy, man. I got to keep it simple. So.
All right. So Gilbert starts making $10 counterfeit notes. He eventually moves up to a $20 counterfeit note, then a $50 counterfeit note, and finally a $100 counterfeit note.
All right.
His first counterfeit $100 note was spotted by the Treasury Department in November of 1893.
Okay.
And so now... this answers your question. This is how he did it. He bought bond paper from Crane & Company. And Crane & Company is the company that makes paper for genuine currency.
Okay.
So he bought this quality bond paper from them.
Sure.
He would take it back to his house. He'd cut the paper to the size of genuine currency for those particular notes, like a $10 note. And then he would soak the paper in a weak solution of coffee.
Okay.
And this gave the paper an appearance of like aged genuine currency.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, and maybe the texture as well.
And now this is where it gets really crazy because he would align his paper up over a genuine banknote. He'd place the two pieces on a piece of glass, and he'd hold it up to a window, and he would trace the image of the genuine note onto the paper.
Just by hand?
Just by hand.
Okay.
He put all the signatures...
With what, though? Was it with a pen? Was it like a paintbrush? What was the instrument?
Yes. He at first, he draws it freehand with a pencil.
Okay.
But then later, he's going to come back in and paint it.
All right. So, I mean, that takes some skill.
And that's what he is. He's
even tracing it. I could not. I guarantee you, I could not trace it out and make it look believable.
Right. He puts all the signatures on there. He puts all the seals. He draws out the portrait. Again, he is a skillful artist. And so then he's able to paint the colors of genuine currency on his paper. And at the end, he ends up with a perfect reproduction of the note.
How about that? Wow.
So again, his way to manufacture counterfeit money was he basically hand painted the money.
Yeah.
It said that it took him several weeks just to make one note. But this is profitable at the time because...
And I'm betting this guy took great pride in it as well. That if he started working on one bill and it just wasn't up to his standards, because clearly he had high standards.
Right.
Probably just started over.
Over. And again, this is profitable for him because at that time, this is, years and years ago, $100 note is huge. And so if he spends 2 weeks,
yes,
designing one or making one, painting one, he's going to have a good profit out of this.
Absolutely. And I guess, how does it work exactly? So let's say I make a $20 counterfeit bill, and I go and I buy something that costs $1, and then I give him a $20 bill. I get $19 back. So now I've got $19 and all that cost me was my cost and effort for making the fake $20 bill. Is that roughly how the scheme goes?
That's how it goes. Yeah.
Okay.
And again, this is a crime that he's doing this all by himself. So no other people are involved.
Yes.
He's actually doing this in a room at his house that his wife and children are not allowed to go into.
Okay.
So that's why
keeping them out of the loop.
Yeah, he can be in that room forever. Now, a lot of times this money back then was really identified to be counterfeit by the bank. And a lot of times the banks would put these notes under scrutiny, like with a magnifying glass, and they would say, hey, this is one of the counterfeits. That's how they were detecting it back then. So very little clues because of the general appearance of the bill was so good.
Yeah, the general appearance, and probably he as well is also looking at it, with a magnifying glass,
right,
and scrutinizing his own work,
right,
so that when somebody looks at it, they're not going to see it because he's probably got his own standards are beyond what they're even looking for.
Right. And again, the businesses that accept these, they never hesitate.
Yeah.
They just take it, they give him his change. Eventually, that bank would, or eventually it would end up in the deposit of that business.
Yes.
And once it got to the bank, that's where it's discovered that it's counterfeit. And again, when the bank reaches out to these businesses, they have no idea who gave them that particular back then.
And, for a guy like you're saying, like this, that operates kind of as a lone wolf, keeps his mouth shut, keeps his head down, they are hard to catch.
Exactly.
In not just counterfeit, in any crime.
Right. And so this case will actually baffle the Secret Service for 17 years.
Yeah.
They're out there looking for, Jim the Pen Man or Gilbert, what he goes by.
Right.
They're out there looking for him. That eventually the Secret Service, they're going to create this like a warning to the public, and they're going to go out and tell the public, hey, every bill that you get, we want you to wet your fingertips and then swipe your finger across the serial numbers.
Okay.
And so on these counterfeit bills that this guy was making, the ink would actually smudge.
Okay.
Because they go on genuine, it's not going to smudge.
Got it.
So that was the training
and that
they
includes
gave people.
Our man.
Right.
His work would the numbers
smudge.
would smear. Okay.
Yeah, his paint would smudge, and that's how what they told the public, look for that. So on the morning of Saturday, March 28th, 1896,
okay,
he has in his possession 6 counterfeit $20 notes and 1 counterfeit 50. And it took him about 15 weeks to manufacture these counterfeit notes. And he goes out and he successfully passes 5 of the counterfeit 20s.
Okay.
And again, he's in New York City. He passes the 6th counterfeit at a grocery store on 3rd Avenue in New York City. He bought a bottle of whiskey. As soon as he leaves the store, the cashier notices the blur of the serial numbers.
Okay.
Because it had gotten, she moistened her fingers, saw that the serial numbers. So some of the employees run outside because the counterfeit money was passed there, but they can't find him.
Okay.
They have no idea where he went. And what he did is he actually walked into a bar and he ordered a glass of wine and a cigar. And he handed the bartender the counterfeit 50.
Okay.
And
Boy, I bet you didn't see a lot of those around in 1896.
And it's crazy that the bartender gives him change for the 50.
Okay.
Later,
Bar's doing pretty good.
right. So now later, the bartender, there's some reporting out there that, he's washing glasses, so his hands are naturally wet. And when he
Okay.
comes across the 50, he
Oh,
noticed
okay.
that
Yeah,
the ink
there's he
smudged.
wasn't looking for it initially, but there's the smear.
Right.
Yeah.
And so he sees it, the 50 kind of smeared. He looks up and Gilbert's gone.
Okay.
He's outside somewhere, but the bartender goes out, and nearby he catches up to him. And Gilbert's actually counting his change.
Okay.
And so the bartender says, "Hey, you gave me a counterfeit 50." He says, "You know what? I'm sorry. Here's all your change back. Plus, I'll give you $5 for your troubles. Just let me go."
And it's all counterfeit money.
Well, no, that the $5 would be genuine.
Okay.
So, he tries to bribe his way out of it. The bartender, he's having nothing to do with this, and he calls the police. The police come out, they put him in custody, and, I think at this time that's how they catch up with the 20 from the grocery store that got passed, and the 50. And sure enough, his story is that he sold 2 United States bonds to somebody he doesn't know, and that's how he got the money.
Okay.
But the police department, they call in the Secret Service, they come and interview him, and eventually he admits what his real name is, and he confesses to manufacturing the counterfeit notes.
Okay.
They search his house, and that's where they find the ink pens, they find more of the paper.
Yeah.
And
Probably
eventually,
the cutting equipment to cut very precise.
And the glass that
sizes
he would hold
of
up
the
to his
paper.
window to get the light through there to do all that.
Mm-hmm.
And he's sentenced to 6 years in prison.
Okay.
After all this. Now, 1 week before his sentencing, he admits that he only made 390 counterfeit bills. However, the Treasury Department estimates it's well over 700 that he made.
All right.
And now there's some, if you look up on the internet out there, you'll see that some of his notes are actually, again, they're counterfeit, so they're against the law to possess.
Yeah.
But a lot of art collectors have them.
Oh, okay.
And so they're very valuable, but a lot of people won't talk that they actually own these notes.
Sure. Well,
like that.
because it's illegal.
Right. And they don't want the Secret Service
I can
to
see
come
though
seize
how
it.
that would be a very cool artifact to have.
Right. If you collected art, that's kind of neat that somebody made that bill.
Yeah.
So.
And I was going to say, for an old case like that, an old situation like that maybe you could like excuse it or give amnesty or grandfather that in because it is kind of a cool thing. But then again, I guess the money could technically still be used, right? So
Well, and
probably
I guess
looks different.
Yeah,
than,
1929 we switched over to what the size and the way the bill appears now.
Okay.
So this was all before that. So, but now let's talk about another.
Yeah. So old stuff like that's still illegal to have, though.
I would say it's still
really okay.
I would say it's still legal tender.
Yeah.
And so therefore the possession of that would be
okay.
Again, would a jury find you guilty today?
Well, I doubt a prosecutor would even consider the case.
Right, because I don't think you'd have the intent to defraud the government with that bill if it's,
Yeah, it's just a cool artifact I want to own.
Right.
Yeah.
So let's now talk about another famous counterfeiter.
Okay.
And again, this one, we're in New York City once again.
I'll tell you one thing, though. When we started this, you were asking me about what my favorite type of crime was, intriguing crime I found the most, I'll say maybe intrigue is maybe not the right word. Because murders and unsolved things really, really are what I'm into, as you know. But I do because over the years, you and I have just talked about various counterfeiting cases, and I do. There's always some interesting backstory to it, that the counterfeiter. And the thing is usually they're kind of like maybe eccentric or artistic type people that aren't so much criminals as they are artists,
right.
And and so I always know there's going to be an interesting story behind a counterfeit case,
right? And again, as an investigator, what I'm fascinated by this case is that it took 17 years.
Yeah. Well, I'm
knowing
telling- I-
every
like I
couple
said,
months these bills keep showing
these
up.
guys that
counterfeit.
just go at their crime like a job and keep their mouths shut, and they're tough to get.
Right. So again, I think I lost my train of thought there, but we're moving on to another
Got
counterfeit
it.
case.
Move on, please.
Here we go. And again, this one, like I said, also takes place in New York City.
Yeah.
And this is the story about a guy that comes from Austria, and his name is like Emerich Juettner.
Okay.
But when he gets into the United States, he actually goes by Edward Mueller.
Got it.
And again, he comes into the United States in 1890. He's 14 years old, and he settles into New York City. He eventually marries. He has a family, and he's employed as a maintenance man at an Upper West Side apartment complex.
Okay. Was it the Dakota?
Is that where John Lennon?
Yeah. It's on the Upper West Side. I think it's 72nd Street and Central Park West. It's also where they filmed Rosemary's Baby.
Oh, but how'd you like how I pulled out the
That's
Lennon?
pretty good. I'm actually impressed.
I'm surprised that I did. So he lives Upper West Side apartment complex. Eventually, his wife passes away. His 2 children are grown, and they're out of the apartment.
Mm-hmm.
And he is 61 years old. He's alone, and he's really too old to work maintenance.
Mm-hmm.
He's unemployed, and he's having financial problems. Most of the people in the neighborhood kind of knew him as this guy who he pushed around this two-wheel cart around neighborhoods, and he collected junk. A lot of the, if some type of an item was broken, people threw out in the trash, he'd get it out of the trash, he would repair it, and then he would, clean it up and then turn around and sell it.
Okay.
That's kind of how he's making a living at this. Again, like,
He was an early version of an American picker.
there you go. But like you had said, another very talented person, right? In that he knows metal engraving, how to do that, and he also has dabbled in photography. And just kind of a spoiler alert on this, that those 2 things are really needed for being a good counterfeiter on your resume. And again, he has it, right?
Yeah, sure.
As a young man, he created some blueprints for a camera. And he actually sent those off to a camera company. Now, they rejected his idea, but he was this, inspiring inventor.
Okay, yeah.
And so at age 62, and this is going to be in like November of 1938, he takes a photograph of a $1 bill, front and back.
Okay.
And then he uses, some type of an acid and hand engraving, and he takes the, I guess like a zinc plate, and he puts that photograph on there, and he starts to etch and engrave into that zinc plate.
Okay.
All the details,
Right.
and portrait and everything of the front of a 1 and the back of a $1 bill inside there. Then later, when he has ink on there, he's able to press paper down into this plate, and he creates a counterfeit $1 bill that way.
Okay.
So he just has this plate of the front, plate of the back,
And-
and he makes $1 bills.
Yeah, and he can just, if he has the right paper, he can just
Right.
just have an assembly line
Right.
of
And
counterfeit dollar bills.
Right. And he kind of has this small hand-driven printing press that he just cranks. And it's in his kitchen, and he just begins printing $1 bills on on his paper. And he starts passing them in New York City. And of course, eventually the notes are detected as counterfeits by the bank because they're getting in deposits, and the bank is surrendering them to the U.S. Secret Service.
So in the 1930s, this is 1938, the money's in circulation and eventually goes into a bank. Maybe someone deposits it. Storekeeper, at the end of the day, deposits his receipts. How does the bank actually? Because I would think a bank, even in those days, would have had a lot of cash come in for each day. And how did they? If you're talking going down looking at individual dollar bills, how did they detect that in those days?
They just had people that were banknote examiners.
So so that's somebody's job.
Is looking at those notes because they have to count out the deposits.
Okay.
If it came in from
True.
a business,
They probably didn't have the automated counting machines in those days. Yeah.
And so these people, they have, basically all day long touched money.
Yeah.
And just,
Can you imagine that being your job, counting money all day, and then your buddy starts going 7, 12, 15, 83, 71.
And you got to start over.
You got to start over.
You got to all start over, yeah. So it's...
Okay, so I interrupted you. The banks detect
Right.
this money he's been passing.
And it's surrendered to the Secret Service. And so on December 1st, 1938, the U.S. Secret Service opened up their case.
Okay.
And they give this case file number 880. Now, what's really unique about this counterfeit note was that when Mueller made it, he purposely misspelled Washington.
Really?
He spelled it W-A-H-S.
W-A-H-S.
Yeah, he switched the S and the H around.
Okay. Deliberately.
Yes. Well, that's what everybody says, that he did that.
Well, so I was going to ask you something that the guy in the last example, what was his name? I'm sorry.
Jim the Penman.
Okay.
Or Gilbert.
Gilbert. So did he again, he's an artist. He takes pride in this. I mean, this is something he'd spend weeks doing for one $50 bill, right?
Right.
Did he, because he's so proud of his work, did he maybe put just one little tiny thing
Defect
on there
in
that's a defect or just a signature, if you will, so that maybe it's so slight that only he knows it, but nonetheless he wants to sign his artwork? Is there ever a situation? Is that what we're talking about here?
And it could be that's what he's doing this on there. I don't ever remember, when I was in the Secret Service, I was actually in Counterfeit Division. I remember Jim the Penman, that case, but I don't remember what his defects were, other than the fact that the ink smeared.
You get the, yeah.
Right. So back to case 880 with Mueller here. Within that first month, 40 of these counterfeit notes are passed in New York City, and by mid-1939, this tally of counterfeit notes are over 600 have been passed.
Okay.
And again, all the shop owners, businesses, everyone that has had these in their deposits, they have no clue who passed it to them.
Sure. It's a big city.
Right.
People coming in and out all the time.
Right.
I would think a scheme like this would not work in a smaller city. You're going to pick up pretty quick.
People are going to know who came in our store every day that the counterfeit's passed. They're going to figure it out. But again, New York City, big city. I'm sure he's going in businesses. They have no idea who Mueller is.
No.
And the Secret Service starts calling this mystery man. They start calling him Mr. 880.
Okay.
That's his nickname. The counterfeit note is passed at subway stations, dime stores, bars, taverns. However, it's reported that Mueller never passes more than one at a time.
Okay, and he's just doing dollar bills.
He's just doing dollar bills, so he's only passing one at a time.
Okay.
So he's not going into business and passing four of them.
So it's not anything that, if I'm a store owner and it's $1, a dollar went.
But this is the 1939, 1940. Yeah. And again, here's another investigation that's taking a while. I mean, this is 10 years. The Secret Service is working on this. At one point, it says this is one of their largest counterfeit investigations in their history. Okay. Is working on Mr. 880. Eventually, the Secret Service is going to create this big map of New York City, and they're going to mark all the locations where this 880 note shows up. And by a pin.
Okay.
And they really kind of narrow it down to a 5 square mile section of New York City.
Okay.
But what's kind of unique is that some of these notes did end up as far away as Atlanta, Denver, and Seattle. But the Secret Service determined that the person probably responsible for that note traveling that far was that they got it as change while they were in New York City. And they unknowingly, shoved it in their pocket, went back to wherever they were from, and then eventually got spent in that city.
Okay.
So those are kind of like outliers out there. So again, the Secret Service does this public education on this note, and they hand out over 200,000 warning flyers talking about this $1 bill where Washington is spelled incorrect. Some people get identified, passing this bill, but they're always like, well, I must have got it as change. I mean, the Secret Service has tracked down.
That has got to be the hardest part of
the amount of people that the Secret Service interviewed that were identified passing this note, but had nothing, couldn't tell how they got it.
Sure.
They accidentally or unknowingly passed it because they got it as change. By 1947, the Secret Service has documented over 7,000 of these fake $1 notes in New York City.
It's starting to add up.
Right. In January of 1948, some schoolboys, they're out searching through this pile of junk that they find in an alley. Okay. And in there are these these zinc engraving plates. And there's about 30 of these counterfeit $1 notes. Okay. These kids immediately identify the money as counterfeit. I don't know how a kid is going to identify it, but a week later, one of the boys sees his son with all these $1 bills, and the father has to.
You got to be suspicious on that one.
And he says, "Dad, we found this." Yeah. Dad takes the son down to the police department, and the police department calls the Secret Service because this is really the biggest I'd call seizure of this 880 note, right? And so, of course, the Secret Service looks at these notes. They go, this is the Mr. 880. And they immediately talk to the boys to say, where exactly did you find these plates and this counterfeit money? So the 10-year-olds, which is kind of weird, 10-year-olds who found the zinc plate, the 2 zinc plates, they traded it to another boy for something.
The zinc plates.
Yes. So now the Secret Service has to track down that boy who actually has the possession of them. Okay. But eventually, the Secret Service, they get the whole story. Because the young boys take him out to the pile of trash in the alley and say, this is where
it was.
We found it. Yep. So the Secret Service is looking out there. There's still trash out there. Yep. They're looking around, and they learn that a few days before the boys found this pile of trash, there was an apartment fire.
Let me just add this, folks. That I've had to do this a few times in my career, but you'd be amazed at the amount of data, intelligence, clues, whatever you want to call it, from going through trash.
Right. So
so there was a fire.
Yeah, there was a fire, and so they apparently, when the fire department or the firefighters enter that apartment that's on fire, it's just a junk collector, and there's a bunch of junk in there that they can't move around to put the fire out. So they just start grabbing items and they throw it out the window down into the trash. Or they throw it down into the alley in this trash piles. So now the Secret Service says, well, we're going to go talk to the owner of that apartment where you threw this stuff out. Yep. And sure enough, the apartment belongs to Edward Mueller. At this time, he's 73 years old. Again, he admits to making the note. And he kind of admits that, hey, I've only given one business, one note. I've never tried to pass 20, 30 at a time. Yeah. So he said the most anybody ever lost at a time was $1. Yeah. The Secret Service, of course, searched the rest of his apartment.
He started this in 38, roughly?
Yeah. That's when the
now
Secret
we're
Service
in
opened the case.
1948. So we're 10 years later, right?
Right.
Okay. I'm just wondering, could I spend 7,000 $1 bills if I even tried to do it,
right,
in 1948? I guess you could. I guess 10 years. That's okay.
And I'm sure he still has his junk business going at that time too. So I mean, he's not living off just passing $1 notes. Now, when the Secret Service actually searched his apartment, they do find the printing press, and then they also find a drawer full of counterfeit $1 notes. Okay. He's arrested. And at the sentencing, the judge reduces his sentence to 1 year, 1 day.
Okay. And what was the reasoning?
I guess because he's in his 70s.
Yeah.
The judge also issued him a $1 fine. So I don't know what Maybe the
Okay.
judge was hoping that he'd get paid by
Yeah.
a counterfeit, and then he could have that displayed in his office as a cool
Well,
artifact.
even by the standards of those days, that's not a tremendous financial loss, and I acknowledge his point that nobody ever lost anything but $1.
Right.
But it goes back to that thing you're talking about, where you know there's certain things that we need confidence in, that the public needs confidence
Right.
in, and money is one of them. So in the whole overall scheme of things, this was not a crime spree of great magnitude, but it's important that these things are looked at, and probably more money was spent
Trying to capture
him than what
the
certainly
government, what
was
the government
involved.
was right.
Yeah.
After 4 months in prison, he's paroled. But right after his trial, a newspaper writes a story about him, and that story leads to a movie script.
Okay.
So Mueller ends up selling the rights to his story.
Yep.
And they actually make it a movie. In 1950, the film Mr. 880 comes out. The actor who plays Mueller
Yeah.
Earns a Golden Globe Award and an Academy Award nomination.
What year was the
for it.
movie?
1950. Called Mr.
1950.
Yeah.
And
And
who
I've seen
played Mr. 880?
an actor named Edmund Gwen.
Edmund Gwen. I don't know Edmund Gwen.
Yeah, and I've seen the movie. Don't want to give too much away, but
Yeah.
I
Is
think
it on Tubi? I think I can check that out on Tubi.
I don't know how I saw it.
Okay.
But it's kind of a love story too. I think a Secret Service agent falls in love with one of the girls.
Okay.
Or with a person that might have been accused of passing the counterfeit at one time.
Okay. Along the way.
Yeah, along the way.
Yeah.
Yep. So it's a neat little another neat little movie. However, if we're really going to talk about great movies and counterfeiting,
Yeah.
I would suggest. Do you know what movie I'm going to suggest? We've talked about it before.
Is that the one that Leonardo DiCaprio's in? Although I don't think he was a counterfeiter. He made like fake IDs and stuff, but I don't think he made counterfeit bills.
That was Catch Me If You Can.
Catch Me If You Can.
No. This film that I'm talking about is the 1985 film.
Yeah, Live and Die in L.A. Absolutely.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes.
Willem Dafoe, man. He's
Right.
he's the
and
mastermind.
It's actually based on a book written by a former U.S. Secret Service agent.
Yeah.
Before the film came out, I think the author actually resigned from the Secret Service. He went on to write more books.
Yeah.
In fact, I've read them all, enjoyed them all.
Yeah.
Good stories in all of them. But in the film To Live and Die in L.A., there is several minutes of a scene that the director actually hired people that had been in prison for counterfeiting money because he wanted to create this sequence of a person manufacturing and printing U.S. currency.
Yeah.
That was it was legitimate.
Believable.
It was believable.
Yeah.
In fact, for the movie, they actually counterfeited money in the movie scene.
Okay.
And they made it's a good
filmed
quality.
an illegal act.
Right, and it's a good quality counterfeit. However, they felt that on the left side of the note has the Treasury seal.
Yeah.
So they thought they would use the letter X
Okay.
as a Federal Reserve Bank because there is no X meaning for Federal Reserve Bank.
Okay.
They put the little X on there.
Yeah.
And then after the movie was over, they decided that they had to destroy all this prop money. Unfortunately, not all was destroyed. And some of these notes made it into the circulation.
Really?
Yes. And again, that's another note that a lot of collectors try to find.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
To try to find a note from
would be
To Live and Die. Again, it's an awesome movie.
Yeah, it is. It's a
I
great
recommend watching it.
Yeah, I recommend it as well.
There's also an incredible vehicle.
I will say this: the lead actor, the star of it, William Peterson, you kind of resemble him a little bit. Maybe the movie was based on you and your career.
You never know. But you're not the first person that have said that. Other people have said that to me about that.
Yeah.
I'll have to go back and watch it tonight and take a look at it.
Yeah.
And again, that movie has that great car chase in it too.
Yes.
That's kind of cool. I think they go backwards or go counterflow on a freeway.
Yes. Yep.
It's kind of exciting.
And
So
in those days, there was no CGI, there were no special effects. Man, that was all stunt people doing that stuff for real.
yes. So as we wrap up this episode, I mentioned that I had a little bit of trivia for you coming up.
All right.
So
Lay it on me. Bring it on.
Well, let's play a little game I'm going to start calling Federal Feud.
Federal Feud. Okay.
It's Secret Service versus the FBI in this trivia battle. All right. So let me quiz you on a few facts on U.S. currency.
Okay. Oh, boy.
Here we go. Question number 1. What's the largest denomination ever printed?
The largest denomination ever printed. $100,000 bill.
You're correct.
Okay.
However, that was never in circulation. That bill was only for transactions between Federal Reserve banks.
Okay.
So it was never put into public. You couldn't have one as the public.
Okay.
But what is the largest denomination that the public could use?
$1,000 bill? No. I'm literally just stabbing it.
No, a $10,000 bill.
Okay.
Do you know whose portrait was featured on the $10,000 bill?
William McKinley.
No.
McKinley was McKinley on the $100,000 bill?
This is Federal Feud, and I'm running the show.
Oh, sorry.
So save that for later, because now you've stumped me. Now I'm going to have to look that up. But on the $10,000 bill, it's Secretary Chase, and he was the U.S. Treasury Secretary during the Civil War.
Salmon P. Chase, I believe, right?
Yes. And that note was actually discontinued in 1969 due to concerns that it was being used for illegal activities.
Okay.
However, it's still legal tender today.
Yeah.
Though it's very rare, and a lot of collectors actually hold them today.
Yeah. Okay.
Because, they're still worth $10,000 today.
Yeah.
But actually, to a collector, they're worth a lot more.
Sure. Yeah, I have a couple of $2 bills. That's more like my budget for what I collect.
Okay. What denomination of U.S. currency is most counterfeited in the United States?
I'd say probably a $20 bill.
You're correct.
Yeah.
Internationally, what is the one that is most counterfeited?
$100 bill?
You're correct again.
Okay.
Again, and I think that it's why the $20 bill is used every day here in the United States.
It is.
For most transactions.
Yeah.
So there's less scrutiny to it, and counterfeiters know that they can get away with a $20 bill.
Right.
We're overseas. Most of our $100 bills are overseas in circulation.
Yeah, and probably, maybe tourists going overseas, maybe if they take, they're going to take in denominations of $100 or something. I don't know. I'll just tell a little quick personal thing on me.
All right.
And maybe if somebody out there, this is helpful for them. It's been a helpful thing for me. And has nothing to do with counterfeiting. We're talking about $100 bills. But I know that your financial advisor would probably tell you this is just not, you shouldn't do this because you don't get any interest from it. But I have, what do you call it?
A stack of $100 bills?
I do. Yeah. My stack varies from time to time because stuff comes up. It's like, it's like a rainy day fund,
right.
And
right.
I've just found over the years that if I have a rainy day fund that's in a bank account with with checks or with an ATM card or whatever, that to me that money's easier to just say, oh, I'm going to just get it out of here, right?
Right.
But if I actually have that, I call it shoebox money. Shoebox money, and I specifically get it in $100 donations, so that because I'll tell you what, it's like trying to get a $100 bill out of my hand. It's almost like you're going to have to pry it from my dead hand. You know?
Right.
I just don't like letting go of either 50s or 100s. 20s doesn't bother me as much, but 50s and really 100s, I have a hard time just letting it out of my hand. So that mailbox money kind of
shoebox money. You mean.
Shoebox money.
Shoebox
I'm
money.
sorry. Yeah, I like mailbox money too, but that's a different thing. But yeah, shoebox money will add up for me because, like I said, I'm just loath to spend. I don't want to break that $100 bill. So anyway, that's a little personal side trip there that probably nobody cares about. But
I think everybody wants to know where you keep your shoebox. You brought up the $2 bill a second ago that you collect. So my question to you is the $2 bill rare?
I don't know. I'll have to guess my answer, and I'll say that it probably is rare because it seems like there was a time when maybe I'm not even sure if it's in circulation anymore, where they said, "Hey, you got to turn them in" or something like that. Maybe I'm dreaming that.
You're dreaming because you're wrong.
Okay.
The $2 bill is, a lot of people think it's super rare.
Mm-hmm.
But it's still printed today. It just becomes a bill that many people hoard or they collect.
Okay.
They think it's unique, so they get it just like you. They
Yeah,
throw it in
that's
an
me.
envelope or throw it in a box.
I haven't seen one if you go to a store and you get change or whatever.
Right.
I haven't seen that I probably since I was 12 years old.
Yeah, so most people get them, and they just, like you, throw them in a shoebox, and then everyone has a stack of $2 bills.
Okay.
Although we refer to genuine currency as sort of as paper money, but do you know what it's really made of?
It's actually made of some kind of cloth. I had put that in my mental checklist to ask about, right? What is it made of?
You're right. It's a blend of cotton and linen. So it's more durable than actual paper.
And this may be like a state secret, so just let me know. But does the government contract like with companies to manufacture that, under to their specifications?
Exactly.
And can I go back to Gilbert's thing from the 1870s and just go to that company and say, I'd like to buy a batch of that stuff?
No. You can't buy the paper. The paper is only manufactured by a company for
the USG.
Yes.
Okay.
For them alone.
Got it.
And here we go. Here's our last question. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Can U.S. currency survive or run through a washing machine?
Yes.
Yes, because again, it goes back to that idea that it's not paper; it's cotton and linen.
Yeah.
And it can survive a trip through a washing machine.
It can.
However, repeated washes, that bill will wear out.
Okay. No, I haven't been guilty of that in a long time, but that used to
Probably
happen.
when you were a kid.
Yeah, fairly commonly.
Well, to our listeners, as always, thank you so much for listening, and hit that subscribe button, follow button, leave us a comment.
Yep.
We have other social media platforms, Facebook, YouTube, TikTok. You can go over there, check that out, leave us any type of comments that you have.
We love the feedback. We love doing this. We love, hearing maybe your suggestions of stuff that we can look into because, we're always looking for another set of eyes on some of these cases that we look into ourselves. So keep it coming. We love it.
Man, we hope you enjoyed hearing this case today. And if you did, share it with your friends. And join us next episode as we take you under the crime scene tape and go back in crime.
This has been the Back in Crime podcast presented by Texas crime travelers Todd Hiles and Stewart Fillmore. We are the executive producers. Grace Hiles is the producer and director. Theme music composed by Eddie Bandas. Follow us on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, and our YouTube channel at Texas Crime Travelers.